Okay, so here we go with chapter 3 of Addicted to Monsters. My book now on video. Very easy way for me to be more productive. As I've explained in the first chapter, there's so many things as a single mompreneur of 4, flight attendant mom of 4. There's so many things that I want to accomplish, but it is very difficult. Time, resources, energy, all that is not on my side. So I've been inspired to find another way to turn the someday and all that stuff into today. So here we are, putting it out like this, making some progress on another goal. So chapter 3 is all about another defining moment that I had when I was in Ardmore during my senior year. Of course, Ardmore is where we moved after the last thing that happened in the last church. So now another church that my parents are that my dad's pastoring, and me moving there as a senior. And this is also the church that I have to look my prior abuser in the eye, metaphorically, because his brother, who has his same exact eyes, is in that area, and he frequently comes to that church. So talk about re-traumatization that I didn't even have the vocabulary to express. I can still feel some of that anxiety thinking about it. So I'll talk about that, as well as my first 2 kind of adult significant relationships. So while my very short time living there, I was there for my senior year of high school, and that's basically it. I had another defining moment. The last one was when I was before I got there, the summer. I was staying the summer prior to my senior year, as my parents and my brothers were transitioning to Ardmore. There was a lady that went to that church who was like a mentor. She lived in Dallas, and so I was allowed to go and stay with her for a good part of the summer, which was great for me. That was my first time being exposed to a woman who was a single mom, she was working for Bank of America, great job, nice house, nice car, really on top of it. And I didn't know at that time that I was really going to need to be able to draw from that experience and her example years later. It was very helpful. I don't really have a nickname for her. I cannot think of a nickname for her at all. Let's call her Nita. She made quite the impression on me. So moving forward, senior year of high school, my relationship and mutual respect with my parents is completely decimated by this point. But I'm the pastor's daughter, and so there are things that just have to be, and we have to, live together. There was an opportunity for me to stay with the associate pastor at the last church that we were at. He was a principal. He was a school principal. He was responsible for getting me into an amazing math and science summer camp before I left. A really good example of Black excellence, and a very loving and kind father. Him and his wife, great loving and kind parents, and their daughter was a close friend of mine for a while, a big part of my life. And he had offered, and he also told me that he had, tried to talk to my parents, because after everything blew up with my family learning about the abuse and, not pressing charges and all the fighting, and basically me being blamed and not protected, I immediately went to their house that night, and I did not want to go back home. And, God rest his soul, that pastor and that high school, junior high school principal, Mr. Kinney, we'll call him Mr. Kinney. God rest his soul. He wound up dying of cancer later on, but he was the first person in my life, the first man out of very few that I always felt safe with, that he never looked at me, cross. He never said anything cross. He provided this safe, loving, fatherly energy, acceptance, love, provision, and I really I thank him for that. And I'm glad I got a chance to thank him often before he passed away. But he and his wife, they were trying to open their home to give me a safe space to try to heal and to focus on, graduating high school and be able to go on and try to create a good life for myself. And I think my life would have been really differently, would have been much better had you know, my father allowed me to stay with them. But nevertheless, I had to move to Ardmore. And so here we are at this part of the story. I'm living there my senior year. I don't really respect most of the rules. I follow most of them because I'm afraid of my father. I can't tell you by this time of my life how many times I had gotten, you know, spanked or beat, smacked, hauled off and smacked, you know, said, you know, horrible things to by my mom and my dad. I blame my father mostly. I do not excuse my mother's behavior, but she was mimicking him. I don't think that she was ever herself. I think she just always parroted his energy. And I really feel like, and this is not okay, but I have some compassion for her, because I feel like she took on a spirit of, like, you know, whatever it is I feel like she just always put him first, and that he had indoctrinated her. So, you know, there were times where she was physically and verbally abusive, but I know for a fact that was him. It wasn't her. Matter of fact, there was one time where she literally punched my glasses off my face and broke them, because we got into a back and forth argument. And I feel like a lot of her anger that should have been toward him was taken out on me. Not my brothers, but me. But that's, I don't know what else to say about that. I don't condone it, but I have so much more, I have more compassion and forgiveness for her than I do my father. Another defining moment, there was a really huge party that I really wanted to go to. My dad forbade me to go because I was on punishment. I was always on punishment for the stupidest things, I think, but, you know, whatever. So I blatantly disobeyed. I decided not to go. And then I stayed out all night. You know, time just kind of lost. You know, I was having a great time, and I decided, like, we were all staying out at some party and the after party and hotel and stuff. And I was on my period, so I was actually kind of mad I couldn't do anything, but I didn't. I just wanted to just be out. It was high school and college people just mingling. There was no drugs, there was no alcohol. It was just partying. However, I get it. You know, as a parent, if your child stays out all night, it's terrifying. But that is not. That's not the reception I got from my parents. I'll say that. This was my second time doing that in my teenage years. So now I'm going back a little bit. I did it one time. Me and my girlfriends, we all lied to each other's parents and said we were spending the night at each other's houses. Not uncommon. Somehow we got caught, but all the parents knew we were okay, and they figured it out. We were at some house party in another town that was like a relative of one of the friends. So they all kind of knew we were okay. But when I came back and got caught up in the lie, I remember my father saying to me, not you could have died. He said, you should have died. I will never forget that. He said to me, you should have died. Not you could have. And he said a bunch of other just really horrible, terrible things. You know, the normal reaction now as a parent, and even as a child, you know, again, kids break the rules and teenagers do teenage shit. But the normal reaction that I've seen other parents do is, you know, scold you. Oh my God, I was worried sick. You could have died, blah, blah, blah. My father said just such horrendous things to me. But the one thing that I remember the most was, like, he came down hard on me. It was nothing but condemnation and just anger. Everything from him was always anger, 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 because once I became my own individual and I wasn't a cute baby anymore, it was just all anger for me being my own person, making my own choices, ever making any mistakes. And because all of that makes, I guess, his life hard, he definitely said to me, you should have died. So fast forward a couple years later, I'm a senior in high school, and I do it again. And I'm going to stop it here, and I'm going to go ahead and do another video for part 2.